Good evening. I'm on there. I'm just waiting for everybody else to go on. I'm not going to talk much while we're waiting. We've got about 4 minutes before everyone else, before we start at 8:30. So if you're watching this later, go ahead and fast forward about 4 minutes and you'll be able to hear the beginning of the presentation. About 4 minutes before everyone else, before we start at 8:30. So if you're watching this later, go ahead and fast forward about 4 minutes and you'll be able to hear the beginning of the presentation. About 4 minutes before everyone else, before we start at 8:30. So if you're watching this later, go ahead and fast forward about 4 minutes and you'll be able to hear the beginning of the presentation. Technical difficulties. Sorry about that. We're just waiting a couple minutes here and then we will get started. Okay, well, thank you for getting on tonight. I don't know if you can see this or not, but on the right-hand side of your screen, there should be a question and answer section or a chat box, excuse me. So when we get a few minutes into this, I have a guest speaker that'll be coming on in about 5 minutes to talk. I'm going to go ahead and start a chat here. So ask questions here. So you should be able to see the group chat on the right-hand side. It will show me who's asking questions and what they're asking. So just a few little housekeeping. If you're coming in on the video feed so that you can interact with myself and the speaker, that is fine. Just mute yourself on your way in so that it's not disruptive to the presentation. And then again, we'll try to ask questions in the chat format so everyone can see the questions that are being asked. I will repeat them as well, or Terry will repeat them, and then we will try to address them as best we can. We are recording this for other team members to view at a later point. I hope that doesn't make you nervous. It sure is making me nervous. But I put a little stress away on to deal with my nervousness. So anyway, that is an FDA compliant statement right there. Anyway, so yeah, I just want to share a few minutes with you. Let me get my timer going so that I know when to stop. Okay, I just want to share with you a few minutes. I first met our speaker tonight, our guest speaker, Terry Tillert, at the Vibrant Health event in 2013. He was a speaker. Sonia Swan puts on a Vibrant Health event, and he came and he was sharing about the different color personalities, and he was sharing about using third-party tools. At that point, he was developing a system of third-party tools that he was going to use to help train his team, and then, of course, cross-train with other people, other teams, to be able to share the tools as a way of just increasing duplication. Duplication is just those things in your network marketing organization that other people are willing to do, not only able to do, but are also willing to do. So with that said, there are some things that our team does that not everybody can or is willing to do. For example, teaching a class is something that not everyone is able to do and not everyone is capable of doing. Especially teaching a class inside your home, that is something that some people are very uncomfortable doing or don't have the space to do. So anyway, not to bash parties, because I love parties, birthday parties, I love all kinds of social occasions, but there are some things about our network marketing team that were not duplicable. And here's how I could tell. This is what my to-do list used to look like. I used to have to make a list of everything I wanted to get done today. And see, my family is part of my list. There's something wrong when you're successful in network marketing and yet your life feels out of balance. And my life was exactly out of balance. I was doing very well. I was recruiting an average of 4 people per month. And for those of you that I personally recruited, I'm very glad you're here. But I made some mistakes in the way I was doing it. And some of the things I was doing was not duplicable. And so when I started to relax a little bit and put my life back in balance, I found that the momentum would not keep going. And that's because the things I was doing were not easily duplicable by other members on the team. What this has to do with the FDA is that we had our first round of warnings right before Vibrant Health that year. And so we actually bought tickets expecting to go and hear something about using oils for cancer, to be honest with you. And they weren't allowed to talk about it because they had just been issued some warnings because they were planning on recording the event. And so at the time, the corporate culture was kind of like, do it, but don't get caught doing it. Well, now we're at a place, fast forward a few months, I had started doing some business building trainings at the beginning of the year, and I was reading Eric Worre's Go Pro, great book. It's so small. I mean, you could read this in an afternoon. And let me just read to you a quote from him here. It says, in network marketing, it doesn't matter what works, it only matters what duplicates. This should be the guiding principle for every network marketing professional. The pros use tools instead of their own wisdom. The pros don't present themselves as experts. They just invite people to learn more about the product or opportunity and let the third-party tool or resource provide the information. The pros do bring passion, enthusiasm, excitement, and belief. So when I started training some network marketing skills then in January, I started on this hunt to find third-party tools to help us share Young Living. I mean, we're all crazy about these oils. I wanted a third-party tool that I could easily share with other people. And there isn't really, corporate does not have any great third-party tools available, unfortunately. So we had been giving out the user's guides, which I just found out from corporate recently that we are no longer allowed to offer that as part of our enrollment package. I'm not saying that you can't gift them to people, but you can't use it as an enrollment incentive. So I guess what that means is we can't mention it before they decide to purchase. We can still give it to them after they've purchased, but we can't give it to them as an incentive. Like if you sign up with my team, I'll include this book. Other piece of information I've learned since January is that as far as corporate is concerned, they really don't endorse us using the Higley book because there's a lot of misinformation in it, which I found to be true. There's a section in Vetiver that claims that you can grow breast tissue with vetiver. I don't know if that's true or not. It doesn't seem true. So anyway, just an example of some of the interesting remarks in that book. There's a lot of good stuff in the book too. Anyway, so third-party tools. I was looking for some awesome third-party tools, especially ones that we could use over the internet. Because as you know, there are a lot of us that live a long ways away from each other. And so I was hoping to find a way to share quickly and easily over the internet, especially using Facebook as a way to share Young Living and my passion for this message. So Stacy ended up in this group on Facebook called vOILa Biz, and she was really getting serious about building her business. So I think she was joining as many biz groups as there were out there. And she ended up in this vOILa biz, and she invited me in there, and we were kind of scoping it out for a couple months before we decided to join boot camp. And boot camp is a basically 2 to 3 month training online that we participated in, that Terry Tillett developed to teach us how to master the invitation process, and the invitation process then leads to sharing the third-party tool. He's also created some third-party tools that he's allowing us to use for a small subscription fee, which is fine because he created them. They're very expensive to create. So I'm going to have him on here in a few minutes. Let me see if he's ready. He's in the middle of another conference call right now. He's a very busy guy, really successful with Young Living. He's also helped with other network marketing companies. He's working with $1 million earner right now. So I definitely think he has a lot of wisdom to offer us. The most upsetting thing about the current round of warnings is that on the Diamond call, they said the other day that they are requesting that we no longer share personal testimonies with the product in the room. And I believe that is because the FDA is concerned that we have now turned our personal testimonies into claims about disease. Now, as far as I understand, the FDA is concerned with essential oils, and it's not just our company. There are other companies in America that are getting issued warnings. Their concern, though, really boils down to if essential oils are meant to treat disease, then they should be classified as a drug and regulated the way all other drugs through the FDA are regulated. So we don't actually want that to happen. I'm sure if you've got any invested interest in Young Living at all, you don't want Big Farm to end up taking over the production of essential oils. So I have nothing against Big Farm or the FDA. Other people that are in Young Living do have issues with both the FDA and Big Farm. I just don't make a habit of hating on organizations or people. But I do agree that if we were to get essential oils classified as drugs and regulated by the FDA, then we would be out of jobs, basically. Then it would require a prescription through a doctor in order to obtain the essential oils. So I think we're happy having them be wellness products. So bottom line, most of your sharing, if you stick to the wellness and systems, talking about the body systems, you'll be in good shape. Even some of the FDA compliant language that they were sharing on the website, the Young Living corporate website, was coaching us to share the beauty benefits of using Progestins Plus. So that will take some creative thinking, but definitely my skin and my tissue is healthier because of the use of that oil. So it's not a stretch really, it's just I have to think about the oils in a different way, from a different direction than before. So let me check and see if he's on. Okay, he's ready, but I think I sent him the wrong link. Let me see if I know how to do that. Okay, he says he can see me and hear me, but he's not able to. But we can't see him, so trying to figure out what to do differently here. Sorry, hold on for a second. you have any questions so far? I'm not seeing a whole lot of chat over here. Hello? There we go.
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you all right. Hi, Terry. I can't see you yet, but it's coming, I think. There you are.
Oh, I can hear you. Okay, totally.
What's that?
Oh, I can't. I see myself instead of you, and I don't know that happened.
Yeah, it's breaking up too. Let me turn the bandwidth down on my. There we go. Are you there? Hold, hang on a second. I need to move to a city where I have faster internet, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason I see myself on the screen instead of you, and so I'm thinking there's a little setting that's creating that, and I don't know exactly.
I went ahead and shifted it to you since you were going to be talking next, so that they could see you.
Oh, okay. So you don't see me though.
I see you, and you.
Okay.
You're on my big screen here, so. I
can see you in the little screen. I see myself on the big screen. So.
All right, perfect.
It should be good. Could you just? Is there anyone you know that you can just message quick and verify with them that they can see and hear fine?
Sure. I think someone's watching on the YouTube channel instead of in the Hangout, just probably for convenience sake. So I'm not sure if they're able to use the chat functions. Anyway, and I had a couple people message me before we got started saying that they were going to watch it later. So anyway, Terry.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I just wanted to invite you tonight to just talk about boot camp and mostly just about the this whole new round of FDA warnings and how third-party tools might make this easier on us. So there's a lot of people on our team that are really actually quite scared and nervous about sharing with their friends and family because they don't want to say anything wrong, and so they've kind of stopped sharing in the last week or so out of fear and anxious and a little bit of anxiety. And so yeah, I was just hoping to kind of talk about the tools and how they can really protect us from saying anything wrong. So.
Sure. Well, my story really simply is when I first got introduced to Young Living, I was told the standard advice that most people were told, and I was just go out and care and share. And that seemed reasonable to me. But I was thinking of sharing with us when I first got introduced in the natural health world. And so I was already very familiar with the FDA problems. And as most of you know, the FDA is not very discerning and certainly not objective. It seems like they allow certain people to say anything they want and other people not so much. But I always knew that we had to be careful with language. But I also believed if there was good research behind something, I could easily connect a product with the research and offer it to someone as a part of the solution. Now, one of the, for me, in the community, if I'm being fair and honest, has always been that the stories get passed down incorrectly. And maybe that's just because I have a health background. I know, for example, when it comes to cancer, that even if someone has a measurable tumor that's disappeared, to say that one particular product cured the cancer is a complete misnomer, because cancer is not the lumps and the bumps, and the symptoms still doesn't make someone cancer-free. And there never is one product, because all dis-e is a result of lifestyle choices on some level. And so therefore, like in a car, if the brake line is broken, You can't put a spoiler on it or tint the windows or put nitric oxide or special spark plugs in it and expect to fully resolve the problem. Only fixing the brake line fixes the problem. And so I've always been at odds with the languaging things carefully for many years, but it became apparent years ago as the warnings started getting more and more strict, and then at convention they even ceased, for the most part, even talking about research that was going, especially if it wasn't published yet. And I've known for years that things were going to become a problem, and I've thought long and hard about this. And so there's two things. So I'll tackle one right away, and then I'll stop and I'll let you guide me with questions. But I've been saying for several years now that the only solution to this FDA problem, and this is what most companies in the network marketing world do, by the way, it is illegal to create any of your own marketing materials in most network marketing companies. They use a simple standardized presentation, and everyone must use the standardized presentation. And I've known for a long time that standardization will eventually become the only solution from an FDA standpoint. Because two things happen. One is when you create a culture that's built around one expert educating another expert, people get emotionally addicted to playing the expert, for starters. And second of all, as soon as that starts as one culture from one expert to the next, you can never, ever guarantee to be said or what's not going to be said. Take, for example, I've watched throughout the Young Living history, many times there are people who are probably well-intentioned. I'm not here to attack their intentions, so take this with a grain of salt. But there are people who have invented wild, pied-eyed stories, anything to make a sale because their family depended on it. And I'm not going to judge them from the financial standpoint. The only problem is that it's not accurate. I've seen people who have talked about the weight loss benefits of Young Living products while gaining 100 pounds in the process. And as soon as you have that culture of one person telling that story and telling that story, and let's take it back to the cancer, you're always going to perpetuate untrue and extremely FDA violating stories. But also, as soon as one person turns to an expert, every next person believes they need to be an expert. And thereby definition, when you put your foot forward as an expert, somebody is bound to ask you for a solution to their XYZ problem or their XYZ diagnosis given by the doctor. And the moment you respond, you're in the FDA crosshairs no matter what you say. And it becomes inescapable. So a third party standardized presentation is the only way to sanitize things. And then when a new person says, yeah, but what do I do with my XYZ problem? You explain to them that it's a lifestyle that they need to change, because all dysphagia is a result of lifestyle choices. It absolutely is. Oils are great, but they can't replace somebody not sleeping. They can't replace drinking water. They can't replace the health fundamentals. So living a healthy lifestyle is extremely important. And when a new person says, well, I want to build a business and I want to share this with some of my friends and family. Well, what did I share with you when you first asked me? You sent me that video. Great. That's all you need to do. There's no need to become an expert on 500 plus products. You just say, no problem. I'll send you the video that I was first sent when I got introduced. And everybody can do that. It's so simple. And then you stay completely FDA compliant. And that way there, as the FDA continues to crimp down on what they're allowing a certain community to say versus other communities, because we know it's not, then you can, the ideal scenario is that you sanitize the sharing tool as many times as necessary. But that's so much easier than sanitizing all the variables of hundreds of thousands of people all doing and saying their own things. Some emotionally addicted to playing expert, some not, some familiar with the FDA, some not, some with more health background versus some that don't. And it perpetuates. So a little longer winded than I planned. I get excited.
No, that's okay. You brought up some questions I had too. Now, I've seen a couple of groups that I belong to that are kind of dancing around with this expert role. So instead, they're forcing people to report just their symptoms in their question instead of their diagnosis as a way to duck this diagnosing and treating thing. But I'm really getting the feeling that that's a problem too. If I say the symptoms of diabetes without actually saying diabetes, I'm still actually asking you for medical advice in a way. So I really, I guess, I don't know if you have more to say about that, but I really got a lot out of what you were saying about this is really a lifestyle thing. You can't just drink Ninja Red and then eat McDonald's 3 times a day and expect that to improve your health.
Well, and that's what a lot of people are looking for, and I think it's because we grow up in an allopathic society that this is broken, take this is broken, take that, and people believe that because the doctors operate in that must be ever the solution, that nature does the same thing, but it's not. It's like I've seen some people with extreme, let's say, bowel cancer, who or anything in the digestive tract, who, if you look at previous studies from other people in those pounds of putrefied fecal matter in their bodies, and so they've just got extreme constipation issues, and we're saying all you need to do is take this magic pill, potion, or lotion and it'll go away. That's impossible.
Okay.
You've not solved the lifestyle problem that led to the constipation problem, and therefore that problem will always continue no matter what you cut out. You know, it's like imagining, and I'll just as an educational standpoint, because I'm on the thread, it's like imagining that if you have severe cold and flu symptoms, that if you just cut your sinuses out, they'll all go away. That's precisely what we're doing with these health problems. And so when you come back to dealing with the symptoms versus the dis-ease or the diagnosis, it's a step in the right direction, but it's still impossible to skirt. People asking you those questions are not trained in communicating in symptoms, and frankly, they don't know. They just want feeling like crap. Here are the things that are generally wrong with me. Give me a label, please. To match drugs to them anyway. It's not those drugs don't. So neither one particular instance replace life right in the first place. It would be like taking the greatest essential oil on the planet in the morning, but then chemicals on and into your body for the rest of the day as a lifestyle choice. It's like what I call not cutting off the bleeding first. It doesn't make any sense. It's not the right way to serve people. It really is not the right way to serve people. They think they want one magic answer, but is to educate. The original definition to be educating people anyway. And so moving in the symptoms direction, it's still not a solution. And if you look at the majority of the terms used for symptoms, those are actually FDA trademark names. We see them as English language as people, but those are trademark words. Those words are trademark words. And so in theory, if you want to get really technical insofar as the law goes, unless you have certain standing to use those trademark words, you're in violation simply by using the terms.
Right.
So going into symptoms is a totally step in the right direction, but you're not going to get out of the expert culture. And
right.
So long as the expert culture exists, you will have violations no matter what. So even if I'm going to do it right, but Sasha, if I tell you a gossip story about somebody in high school right now, and you go tell 7 more people, and we interview the 7th person, is that story going to be remotely the same? No. There's not a chance on the planet that it'll be even close to the same.
That's a game we.
So that right there is the case for standardization in itself.
Right. That was one of my favorite games in grade school. You're absolutely right. It's telephone, just to see how funky the story would get by the time it got around. So, yeah, I think, okay, so my other question is, some of the people on my team have heard about boot camp. When you talk about just sharing a video, that sounds so easy. Why do we need training for that? Why do you think most people, I know I needed the training. I really got a lot of value out of going through it, but help some of our viewers to understand why they can't just show me the tool and I'll just start using it. There must be more to it than that. It's not that simple. There's a reason for the training. So what do you think the why is? And I think it might be along the lines of veering away from the expert culture, but I think maybe you have more wisdom about that.
Yeah, there are many reasons. I mean, the journey I went on is when I was staring the Young Living culture in the face, having interviewed every single person who made money ago, I realized that none of them could replicate what they had done. So if Young Living got shut down overnight by the FDA or financial problems or anything else, could they go and rebuild an organization elsewhere? And the answer was honestly, they couldn't. And that was difficult for me, because as I started studying and just learning about who some of the $1 million earners were, I realized that if you read books even as far back, I read one from 1994. It was then that they would remove the expert from the equation always, because not every person has the same level of credibility with their friends and family. Not everyone has the same circle or sphere of influence. It's like learning something brand new on TV that's counterculture, and going to your family and friends and expecting that they're going to hear it from you is it's insane. It's like a young university student that some lesson on finance that he's sharing with them. Not going to be heard. And so learning the training for me, what the boot camp is a compilation of what I learned from studying over 200 different $1 million earners who had all been able to do it systematically, who've been able to do it in multiple countries and multiple companies. No matter what the product was, they were able to do that. And when I learned doing it, I realized I needed to create it. And in the beginning, we just created sharing tools. But the truth was, wildly distracted, very noisy, busy world, convince someone to dedicate the time to watch a video from what they perceive your self-interest, good luck.
Right.
Good luck. It happens on occasion, and the truth is, in our social media culture world, most people are afraid of the telephone. They're afraid of personal interaction. They're just afraid of talking to people. And the truth is, it's a lost skill. It's like a lot of the training is about learning to listen and learning to be a real friend and learning to communicate and learning to have conversations and interacting with humans where it's not all about you. And a lot of the training really is the most consistent comments and compliments we've gotten throughout the entire series of trainings. And all of it's if I get nothing else, I'm learning to become a better friend, a better husband, a better spouse, and a better parent. And I'm learning how to communicate to people in a way that they can hear it. And I'm learning to honor them. And I'm learning not to make it all about me, which is very important. And here's the biggest part. If you came up in an expert culture, it's so easy to see, monkey do. And the majority of boot camp is about unlearning.
Right.
It's about learning what not to do. Because when I started, I would come into the room, and this is not a bragging thing, but I remember things. And I was already helping a lot of people with natural health products, solve health problems before Young Living came around. I needed to see a lot of research to be convinced that this might be a better option, or even a parallel option to other things that I were helping people with. And so for me, that was a process of going to dig into the research. Because I always have a saying, if I wouldn't share it with my grandmother for free, then I shouldn't be sharing it and I shouldn't be doing it. And when I read all the research, it just stuck in my head. So someone would say, tell me about XYZ. I just read a study on nutmeg about it. Tell me about XYZ. I just read a study on limonene about this. You haven't seen them? You got to see them. But for me to succeed in a tools, for me to succeed in a way that could duplicate, for me to succeed in a way where a brand new person does not need to become an expert, that they could do simple things, I need to make sure that I only did simple things. And so I had to do a massive amount of unlearning. And that's what I see happening with everyone who comes through boot camp. Yeah. For those listening, I just want you to contemplate this idea, because this is essentially the current invite in the current Young Living culture. Hey, you'd be great at this business. All you've got to do is care, and by that, all an expert under different. You've got to become a legal jargon expert to navigate FDA compliance versus non-compliance. If you decide to be an expert, all you need to do is become a licensed medical doctor. You need to become a professional public speaker, which is more feared than death. It's not a big deal. You only speak to small groups in the beginning and then larger groups later. But it's public speaking, more feared than death. You need to do is give up time with your family from 3 to 6 hours a night, 6 days a week for 5 years. And if you'll do that, hey, then your finances will be well taken care of. It's hardly a gentle invite that's warm and welcoming and embracing to large numbers of people. And the secret formula when you study how the $1 million earners build network marketing businesses every month, and there's large numbers of people being served by good products, is to have a large number of people to do a few simple things consistently. And it's always about, is what you are doing, here's the key question, is what you are doing something that every single person can and is willing to do? That includes men, that includes people young and old, and what the current culture is doing does not fit that definition. But can the average person or the large majority of people say as little as possible intelligently, but get them excited? Changes, and they've really impacted my life, and I'm really excited about them. And I have a great video. Would it be okay if I sent you a copy? They send the video. Most people in 2015 tell stories. Most people in 2015 are really good at cutting and pasting links. They already send YouTube videos to people, and the invite now becomes, hey, you can build a business in the nooks and crannies of your life. In any kind of 5-10 minute conversation, you can say, I'll just send it to you. No one has to leave home. There's none of these no-shows to the home parties, none of these hotel meetings. And once you're inviting someone to build a business, well, how long does it take to send a video to somebody? Not long, once you're skilled at making sure people can hear what you're trying to present to them.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we've come to the 9 o'clock, and I do respect your time very much. I really appreciate you sitting in with us tonight. I apologize again that there aren't more people on the call tonight to ask you actual questions, but I know this video will be shared and shared again. So I really appreciate that. And again, thank you. I just want to thank you as a recent graduate of boot camp. I am not afraid of the FDA thing at this point. I don't feel like I need to be. I feel like I'm not saying enough to do anything non-compliant. So I feel very skilled. And I just actually told my mom the other day that it's not even that I know what to say, but I know when to say it now. There is no room left for guesswork. I know exactly what will be effective and what won't. And so it's just a matter of leaving it up to me to apply what I've learned now and make it work. So I really do appreciate it. I left your training feeling completely competent and prepared for the skills needed to be a good network marketer. So thank you very much.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you, and I'm glad you can see the wisdom of saying the right thing and at the appropriate time. It's like saying, when I look at you, time stands still, versus saying, when I look at you, your face could stop a clock. You know, very, very different about what to say and when to say, and there are many, many, many great examples of that in human communication. So I appreciate it, and for those listening, reach out if you have questions. I look forward to getting to know you and serving you in any way that I can. But hopefully everything I shared made good sense. So thank you very much for having me, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a great night.